and it's also close to home. So, as your parents get older, you start thinking about this. So we kind of made a decision to come here, and because it's really provided amazing science, good funding opportunities, a very rich international life, a very good social and infrastructure organization of your life, and close to home. I can just sit in my car and I'm home in 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, which is not the case if you are, I don't know, in US or UK.
Yeah, I'm currently in Barcelona, and my mom, I'm applying to PhD programs currently. It's that time of the year, and my mom, she's never pushy, but she always kind of pushes the idea. What about Austria? What about Vienna? Vienna has the best living standards. It's rent controlled as opposed to Barcelona. You can drink the water from the Danube, Katerina. Do you understand that you can drink the water from the river and things like this? So yeah, Vienna is definitely an amazing city to live in, I would assume.
It is.
You both your wife and you pursued a PhD. And what do you think a PhD provides you with? Why did you want to pursue a PhD specifically? And would you still pursue a PhD with the knowledge you have now about it?
Definitely. So I don't think that even comes into question. So what a PhD gives you is, so first of all, I would tend to say that to anyone coming into a PhD, or maybe in his first years of PhD, is not really to focus on a particular subject. Whether you're going to do a PhD in this or that, it's completely, I won't say pointless, but scientists very frequently change fields. If you have been working in understanding fly genetics on your PhD, and you switch in your postdoc to human stem cells, you can basically end up opening your lab in brain development in humans in 10 years, and then end up in industry working on cancer. So what I really would say is that the actual subject is, it needs to interest you. You need to be happy about it. But I really wouldn't say that's the most crucial thing. However, what is to find a PhD that will make you work, make you think, and make you, I won't say struggle, but make you actually swim a bit. So what I really took from my PhD is connections, knowing how to write, read, understand data, and make decisions. I learned how it is to write a deck, go pitch, talk, present, travel. And I learned how to ingest and digest huge amounts of data in very little time, and then kind of digest them into directions. Like, we should do this, or we should do that, or we should design an experiment in this way to get this or that. So what I would say is that a PhD is not that you end up basically getting a PhD in stem cell biology. No, you get a PhD, which is an experience of learning, figuring out stuff on your own, learning how to write, present, read, analyze data, learn the basis of statistical inference, meaning how do I actually know that this data is correct, and not just that I can run a t-test in R, but what does it actually mean? What am I calculating here? And if I'm doing an RNA-seq data set, what is the Bonferroni correction, or why do I actually need it? And all these things are important for your next step, because when you go into the real world, so to say, although a PhD is also real world, and especially in industry, if you're given a live real world data set, you do need to know how to understand it, analyze it, and then make an actionable decision, meaning we will do this and not this. And this is what my PhD taught me. You should be looking for mentors that don't hold your hand, but rather are good mentors in a sense of teaching you how the world works, teaching you how to publish and how to present, not that they do it instead of you, but rather teach you what a good presentation is and then make you capable to actually do it yourself. And this is what a good PhD is. That's a time after which you are completely capable, or should be, to tackle real world data, real world problems with a scientific mindset and a critical mindset. And that's what a PhD is all about. What I like to say is that I know a lot of successful scientists that have switched their fields every 5 years. A good scientist is a method of thinking. It's a way of thinking. It's not a tool set. It's not about doing Western blots or small cell RNA, single cell RNA-seq. It's about how you approach problems and how do you dissect them to get linear, unequivocal data out. And that's what a good PhD makes you. And I would do it again and again. I was lucky, I had luck to actually do a PhD like this. I was in a lab with a very old school PI that I enjoy working with, in a sense that he always tried to teach me the old school way of doing things, prior to black box AI, where you plug in an RNA-seq data set and it spits out a plot that you don't understand. But he really pushed me to understand every single step. And when I present to him or on our seminars, that I actually know what I'm talking about. And this is what I'm most grateful for.
Joining this lab for your PhD, was it really a stroke of luck, or did you make an informed decision about this group beforehand?
Can you, sorry, repeat that? I didn't quite.
Was it an informed decision? You worked there before you knew somebody from the lab, or was it really such a stroke of luck? I think this is one of the most important questions for people who are now pursuing a PhD. Did you find your lab due to an informed decision, meaning that you did an internship there before you did the PhD, you knew somebody from the lab, or was it really such a stroke of luck, such an amazing mentor?
So it was a bit of both. So I didn't do a internship there. I didn't visit that lab prior to having started working there. I did talk to a lot of people. So Vienna had this very cool type of selection, which I think is a common thing now in Europe, where you go and all the PIs are there and you basically all come together for a PhD selection. You start talking to people, you get selected or you don't get selected. But the point is, I talk to people. I talk to other students, I talk to technicians, I talk to other people at the institute, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, that guy is a great guy, and you should work with him." Or they talked about some other people; they're not so great. Don't go there. Or you should go there if you like to work, or if you like to be micromanaged. There are some people who really don't like to think, but rather do what they're told, and I think everyone finds their own match in the end. So it was a bit of a stroke of luck. However, what I do have to say is that I've seen a lot of people shift their PhDs or labs after a year, or even in the middle of their labs of their programs. And I'm totally up for this. It's better to switch early if you see that your connection or relationship doesn't really work, than to stay in a very unhappy relationship for like 5 years. It's like a marriage, a PhD. I always say it's like a marriage. You don't want to be stuck in a very bad marriage. So you should be there happy and content, and not really put up with the stuff that you don't want to put up with.
You mentioned a lot of various skills that you gained because of your PhD. Can you highlight some of them or the most important of them which helped you with your current job? So what does a PhD do specifically now that helps you with your job working in an AI-driven company, working on personalized medicine? And are you better valued at the job market because you have a PhD?
Definitely. Well, I don't think, not to get me wrong, but the positions that you can, although there is a bit of overlap with this, the positions that you apply for with a PhD and without a PhD are completely different positions. So for any type of leadership position, any type of senior stakeholding position, any company, you need a PhD. So some people might argue, and I will concede that with a very long experience in a master's, you can reach a certain, maybe an equal position, but we're talking about either a PhD and 2 years of experience to be a senior or a master's and a 10-year of experience to be a senior. So it doesn't really, it depends on you. It depends on what type of a person you want to be. So if you really want to be working in an industry and you want to be, I don't know, a senior scientist, a vice president, or a CSO, like if you really want to be calling the shots at some point in your life, the sad fact is that you need a PhD. And you need a good PhD. So not just doing a PhD for the sake of having it, you need a PhD. And now to basically with this, to go back to the first part of your question, what are the skills that it's basically data-driven decision-making, meaning that like looking at the data, understanding what's happening, and then saying, this is the way to go, is one of the most important things that I've learned. Reading, again, huge amounts of data, but critically reading it and understanding whether the plot is crap or not, and whether there is actually something there or not is a crucial thing. And also writing and presenting. In industry, you write and present a lot. You go out, basically, a lot of companies do a lot of public outreach. You do a lot of communication with the outside world, or even with the inside, you talk to different departments. So being able to take data, understand data, present data, analyze them in a statistically sound and correct way, and then communicate a decision based on that data and persuade people where to go is what industry is all about. And this is where my PhD really honed these skills. Because, the PhD, during my PhD, that's the first time I was ever made to stand in a big amphitheater in front of 500 scientists from all over the world and actually give a talk. So unless you've done a couple of these things before, you can't really now go and sit in a boardroom full of directors of your company and then give the same talk. So this is where my PhD in particular helped me.
I would like to now focus on your industry career since we've reached that point regarding your PhD. And you mentioned this lovely thing of creating knowledge, that is one of the hallmarks of science. So being a person who is so in love with science and so in love with creating knowledge, and I have to agree that that is one of the purest and most humane aspects of science, why did you pursue a career outside academia? So what drove you to make this shift into industry?
Well, that's a tricky question. So first of all, industry and academia give two different types of job satisfaction and